What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today we're going to be going over all the brand new decks that you can actually play in the new Ex-4 alternate being. So without further ado, let's get into this video, talk about all these amazing decks, and get into it. So guys, I'm going to tell you this right now. These are not going to be maxed out, ready competitive. These are just rough drafts, the guys to get you thinking about how you want to build your next deck. So very important, taking a look at it to understand. I got most of these decks by going to Digimon TCG guide. They have the winners reports and they can tell you what decks you should be expecting at. You can do each format and this will definitely help you out, get some creative juices going. So first off, let's get into it. First deck we're going to talk about is none other than Shinegreymon. It gained a new card in the form of Shinegreymon Ruin Mode, which obviously is the secret of the set, which is good. This thing applies pressure, and that's kind of what you want to do a little bit. Shinegreymon, as you know, focuses on the new Punch Marcus to be able to proceed from level Digivolving up for free as you swing in. It costs you 1 memory to do so, but it's not a terrible trade-off. The deck got some new support in Ex-4 Agumon. Start on your main phase. If you have a red or yellow tamer, gain 1 memory. So this can lead into Marcus being free. It didn't cost you anything because it's Agumon triggered first, gaining that memory. Then Marcus comes in, ready to punch. That is vital there. Then it got a new Greymon with starter main phase, similar effect to Agumon, and the inheritable is once per turn when a red or yellow tamer becomes suspended, draw a card. Helps keep tempo, keep going. And then it got a new RideGreymon, similar to its counterpart, is that it has the inheritable when one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon and all your opponent's security gets minus 4,000 DP. Sorry, it's not the same as RideGreymon of the new one. Sorry, I'm misthinking of the next one. So this one's completely different. When Digivolving one of your opponent's Digimon and all your opponent's security gets minus 4,000 DP. So this makes your likelihood of your Marcus surviving higher and higher. The deck focuses on climbing up that way and swinging with Marcus. It got new key pieces that really does help the deck out, and you kind of want to just run Coromon. The centralized theme is basically Marcus punches you for game. Gonna keep doing that, and then, you know, your top end level 6 boss Digimon is Shinegreymon. When Digivolving for each yellow or red tamer you have in play, one of your opponent's Digimon and all your opponent's security gets minus 3,000 DP. And then all turns, all your Marcuses get plus 3,000 DP and security plus 1. Allows you to punch in more comfortably. Very powerful. All in all, deck's pretty solid. Is it going to top major events? Probably not, unless it's an Ulti Cup. I think Ulti Cup, this new wave of support, definitely helps the deck out. Then, Gallantmon got some new support in the form of Gaiomon. Gaiomon in this set from Ex-4 is on play if both players trashes 20 or more total. This Digimon gains Rush for the turn. For 3 costs, play it down, gain Rush. It's like hybrid for game. It costs 3. Not terrible. I mean, you got Black Gaiomon. Both players trash 2 cards from their deck. Then you may return 1 Gaiomon and 1 Digimon card with Gaiomon or Gallantmon in its name from your trash to your hand. Helps cycle pieces back that you can now Digivolve up with. Black Gaiamon's actually pretty decent in my opinion. I think all in all, the deck is pretty solid. I think even just teching and Trident Gaia, really nasty at times. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the highest DP. If a Digimon with 13,000 in DP is deleted by this effect, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So Gallantmon likes to trash stuff, so Trident Gaia definitely helps out doing so. And I think this tech in with win rate 60% really does help out. The deck kind of is going to do what it did in BT12. Build a stack, no protections or anything like that, but just try to control the board in a way to help mitigate some damage and be able to keep applying pressure. It's going to trash your opponent's security and just try to win game from there. Always what it's kind of done. Pops an opponent's Digimon, gain memory, you know, all the good stuff. Then we do have Gaiomon. Gaiomon's only just 1 card, actually, surprisingly, but it changes up just slightly of a playstyle because the new Gaiomon is when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the play cost 13 or more. If no Digimon is deleted by this effect, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. Free trash is not bad. And then end of turn, if you have a tamer in play, you may Digivolve this Digimon into a card with Gaiomon in its name with a play cost 13 or more from your hand without paying its Digi-Evolution cost, ignoring Digi-Evolution requirements. So, not bad trade-off. You get into Gaiomon again, and this will de-Digivolve, and it has Security +1 and Reboot, so it's not a bad trade-off. Just being able to de-Digivolve your opponent's threat is awesome, and even if still you just pass turn, and then you do this, you can then Blitz, because it is meaning it's when Digivolving requirements, so it's not a bad trade-off. Is it going to do a crazy amount? Probably. We can definitely say this is another top-end contender. This is another version of Greymon Tribal. We'll see which of the three are going to be really powerful at the end of the day going into Ex-4 territory. Then we do have none other than Blue Flare. Blue Flare got some decent love and support. It got a new Gaussmon that basically when a card with Blue Flare in straight is played, draw one. That helps out a lot because that even just being on board when you play your Tamers, Kiriha will then draw you a card. You know, Blazing Memory Boost, being able to play a Kiriha after picking up the 2. You know, that's a +3 in advantage for one card. That's not bad. I think that's pretty solid there. And then the new Greymon and the new male Bergermon giving jamming and a draw with no restrictions really helped the deck out because it needed that. I think that's what really struggled with the deck, was it just didn't have a way of doing things when your opponent was just deciding to stick on one body. Now that you don't have to worry about that, you can now swing in with, you know, a draw +1, and you have jamming. Now, that's another big thing about this deck. It was always not a big number deck. So when it swung in, if anything was an ultimate or above, most instances, this Digimon was dying. So you kind of lost body. With jamming now, you gain that ability to be sticky in your swings. Not terrible. I think that's pretty solid. Kazuhamon is very powerful. This new card here really does set up some interesting dynamics. When Digivolving, may use one option card with a cost 5 or less from your hand without paying its cost. So we're going to load up on that. We get Blazing Memory Boost for free. We get Soul Ride for free. Or even Kaiser Nail, which can just lead out to grabbing that Metal Greymon for another attack. So all this does add up nicely. And then you could play Superior Mode because there's nothing wrong with playing Superior Mode. And all in all, the deck is going to do what it wants. It got some great support. Kiriha and Nene really helps the deck out because now pieces in your trash can actually be used, which sucked sometimes. You just needed that one piece that ended up in trash. Now you can have access to it. So just keep this in mind. But the deck is quite powerful. I have no objections on it. Then we do have Ulforce. Ulforce got one new card. Ulforce is still going to OTK. It got Golden Veedramon with its Armor Purge, but when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2,000 DP for the turn. And if you have a blue or yellow Tamer in play, or a card with Armor Form in its traits in your trash, one of your opponent's Digimon gets 6,000 DP. That's with 6,000 DP or less, cannot attack or block until the end of the turn. So being able to stun your opponent's ultimates, not too terrible, actually. That's pretty solid. So just keep that in mind. The deck's going to OTK like it's always going to do. You know, your goal is Rena for the restand Ulforce shenanigans, and just keep blind pressure that way. And then another deck we should talk about. This usually becomes a multicolor deck, but I figure because it's kind of important, we have GreysKnightsmon. Taking everything from Ex-4 and then anything for BT10, you basically get a very interesting hybrid deck. So on play, DDG of one of your opponent's Digimon, then all your opponents level 4 or lower cannot attack until the end of opponent's turn, kind of gaining Metal Greymon's stun effect with Darkknightmon's DDG evolution. Kind of best of both worlds, right? I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, but all turns when an opponent's Digimon would be deleted or returned to its owner's hand or deck, you may play one Metal and one Darkknightmon from its Digi evolution card without paying its memory cost. Just a small FYI. Kiriha, this one, remember the keywords here. When you would play one Digimon, so none of these tamers that can tuck sources and everything for your Digicrosses, if you play two bodies, it's basically null and void. You can't use anything hidden underneath your tamers anymore. So just keep that in mind at the back of your head if that happens. Okay? Just letting you know. But all in all, the deck's kind of just uses Gaussmon to help return pieces back and draw you cards. The deck is just going to do what it wants. And then you have like the new Metal Greymon. When attacking, if this Digimon is GreysKnightsmon, one of your opponent's Digimon with 3 or less Digivolutions cannot attack until the end of opponent's turn, locking down threats. Then you have like Darkknightmon's opponent's turn. When your opponent's Digimon attacks, if this Digimon is GreysKnightmon, you may switch the attack to this Digimon. Not a bad deal. I think this is pretty solid. Just keep this in mind. I think the deck is decent, but I don't think it's going to be competitively viable. I think the support is better apart than together at the end of the day. Then we do have yellow armors, or, you know, Sakuyamon Jagras. So the core theme of it, if you remember back in BT8, there was kind of like 2 viable decks for either it was armors or this version, where you would Jagras, your overarching theme was to Jagras and deal some damage that way. Not a bad way of picking back up afterwards. It gained new cards in like Heaven's Judgment. Active while you have a green Digimon or Tamer, you may use this without many color requirements. Activate the effect of blow. Then for each color among Digimon you have in play, activate the blow additional times. So if you have multiple colors, which you can, you have green, blue, yellow, and white, and sometimes black, and maybe purple. So if all these are out, you can just clear threats off the boards pretty quickly. All you need is 3 colors, to be honest with you, so which is very accessible in this deck. We do play Shadow Ravemon. Opponent's turn, when a card is removed from your security stack, de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. Then on deletion, recovery 1, then one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 4,000 DP for the turn for each card in your security stack. More control, more viability, in my opinion. The deck is going to do what it wants. It's just a revitalization of this old strategy, which is pretty cool just to see that it got some new life just by adding a couple new cards like Shadow Seraphe and Heaven's Judgment and Golden Veedramon. Since we talked about Golden Veedramon earlier, I will not dive into it more. Then we have Sakuyamon deck. To be honest with you, looking through Japan, there's only one topping with Sakuyamon since the X4, and that was a mixture of yellow hybrid. It's not a bad trade-off. Sakuyamon definitely being able to use your plugins for free, and then you kind of can just go with, you know, digital translator to go into your Sakuyamon. Just keep this in mind that you can't go Kazuamon into Sakuyamon because it does say it treats itself as Sakuyamon. It can go into maid mode with this card, or it can go into this Sakuyamon the other way around. So, I mean, you can go Sakuyamon into Kazumon, but you can't go in the reverse order. Just a heads up. They have to be different named. So, the way it's worded. So, just keep that in mind. But again, they just use the plugins. The deck's okay. Is it going to top any major events? Probably not. Just keep this in mind. Then we do have Alliance, aka the Bunny Tribal deck. This little guys are going to river stomp you. Just kidding. So, things about this deck is basically it builds up. The idea behind it is suspend something, you gain its power, and you gain a free security check. This allows you to deal extra damage and most likely make your Digimon likely to stick on the board. Not a bad trade-off, right? Right. I mean, some lists, the only lists really didn't play the Cherubis. They ended up playing the Imperial Dramon from BT12, which is not a bad trade-off, in my opinion, just because you can use this to go, when Digivolving, if this Digimon has blue Digimon card, unsuspend this Digimon. If it has a green Digievolution card, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Being able to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon is decent, and then attack if this Digimon may Digivolve into a card with Imperial Dramon in its name in your hand for a Digievolution cost. When this Digimon would Digivolve by this effect, reduce the cost by 2. So, you can go into Fighter mode, which makes it for free. When Digivolving, suspend all your opponent's Digimon, no Digievolution cards, then return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to its owner's hand. By returning Imperial Dramon Dragon Mode from this Digievolution card to its owner's hand, return all your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of its owner's deck instead. And then all turns, the Digimon gets plus 1000 DB for each color in its Digievolution. While this has 2 or more colors in its Digievolution, it gains security plus 1 and blocker. So, very likely you can get this weird array of colors. You'll always get green. You might get black and yellow, or, you know, black and purple. Any combination, it does definitely add in. But again, the deck is Bunny Tribal. It's a little weaker in most circumstances. To be honest with you, I expect to see this more in Ultimate Cups than I would expect it into major events. So just giving you a heads up, I think that's the way you want to go with this, is that it's probably going to be decent in an Ulti Cup, but it will not be as decent in a regular event. Then we have Darkknightmon. So it definitely got some decent love and support with the new Knightmon, and of course the Kiriha Nene, which Blue Flare got as well access to. But on play, if you don't have a Nene card in play, you may play one card from your hand without paying its memory cost. On deletion, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. If that card has Blue Flare or Twilight in traits, add it to your hand, trash the rest. Not a bad trade-off, right? Then you have like Deadly Axemon, which is now a Twilight, which can help with your Nene to be a blocker. This one will trash one card with Blue Flare or Twilight in traits, draw 2. Not a bad trade-off. And then on deletion, reveal the top card. If it's a Blue Flare or Twilight, add it to your hand, trash the rest. Not bad. Then you have like Gaia Reactor, choose one of your opponents. This card right here is a very interesting option. Choose one of your Digimon each player has in play with the highest play cost. Delete all others with the chosen Digimon. So all this does is make some decent value here, because now there can only be one for 6 cost. Not a bad trade-off. You were at 3. They'll go to 3 because of their tamer. Boom. Now they're down to 1 stack, and most likely they can't out if you have a Darkknightmon X antibody on board. That's going to just spit out more bodies. And anyway, you spit out more bodies like crazy anyway. And the new Darkknightmon is on play. If one of your Digimon gains blocker until the end of the opponent's turn, then if you Digicross, the Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. Doesn't have the same pressure that Darkknightmon gives, but that Digivolve and giving blocker is not bad. And then on deletion, reveal the top 2 cards, add 1 Blue Flare or Twilight among them to your hand, and then Digicross for Knightmon and Deadly Axe. And you won't use ever as inheritable ever. But all in all, the deck's pretty solid. It definitely got the needed support it needed, but we'll see if this will hold up. Maybe we'll just see this more in Ulti Cup. Then we do have the climbing deck. You know, it's the climb. So you have Agumon, Gabumon. The whole goal is having both of them out, then digivolving as a zigzag pattern all the way up into, you know, Omnimon, Alter, S. Basically being able to, when digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon 8,000 DP or less, then return one of your opponent's level 6 or higher to the bottom of its owner's deck. And then all turns when this Digimon would leave play, except by one of your effects, play 1 Blitz and Grumon from this Digievolution card without paying its memory cost. Then place this card at the bottom of the security stack face down. Not bad. Not bad at all. I think this is pretty solid of a deck. The deck is suffering from Imperialdramon problems. If you don't see all your pieces in time, you're kind of in an issue. But we'll see what happens in the future. Then we do have Ravemon. Ravemon's introduction is very interesting. It has a unique playstyle. And what do I mean by this? It's jamming, but end of turn, by deleting this Digimon that had a Digievolution card with Bird or Avian in its traits, play 1 Ravemon from your trash until the end of your... Play 1 Ravemon from your trash at the end of your opponent's turn without paying its memory cost. Basically giving you free Ravemons that kind of just get away from being deleted, which is not a bad trade-off in my opinion. That's pretty solid. And on deletion, if you have 8 or more if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, your opponent trashes 1 card from the hand. Then if they have 7 or less in their hand, your opponent adds the top card of security to their hand. So the cards are trying to use their inheritables to trash your opponent's security. I mean, hand size, but it's all about it. You know, Falcomon and Peckmon try to do that. And you have like Chromon, which is basically if you have a purple tamer in play, you may digivolve this Digimon and Ravemon from your hand without paying its Digievolution cost. So not a bad trade-off in my opinion. You're pretty solid actually. And the deck's going to do what it wants to do. It's going to try to pop itself, keep their Ravemon out of harm's way at the end of the day. The deck is going to do what it wants to. And until it gets its next wave of support, you got to tech in like stuff that'll help you out. You have like Sakuyamon, Sakuyamon. Then you have like Megidramon that gain memory on deletion. Not bad. I think it's all value here, and it's all worth some decent value. Then we do have the mill version of the Megidramon deck. So Megidramon likes to mill out anything. So if no Digimon was deleted by this effect, trash the top 5 cards of both players' decks. When in Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 10,000 or less. If they don't have that, you get to mill. So the goal is trying to deck your opponent out. You use like Death Slinger and Wizardmon to help keep it your turn. And then you can always just like use ChaosGallantmon from trash by deleting one of your Digimon with Gallantmon in its name with a Digivolution card. Play this card without paying its memory cost. Then on play, delete one of your opponent's Digimon 7,000 DP or less. For every 10 cards in both players' trash combined, add 2,000 to the maximum choice effect. It gets crazy pretty quickly. But with Megidramon, it can also play a Takato or a Gaiomon for free. Not terrible. I think the deck has a lot of promise. And who knows how you're going to mill out your opponent, because you basically use Graumon, Black Graumon, War Graumon, and Black War Graumon, both from their respective EX sets to help just mill out cards. And then use like Gaiomon as well, but all worth its weight in gold in my opinion. And then we have what would be basically ChaosGallantmon. The deck is kind of in shambles right now, to be honest with you. This was the only list I could find that JP actually topped with. So basically, the same principle happens with Megidramon ChaosGallantmon. You're just going to play this for free. And then basically you're hoping that your securities, your way of going about things will apply pressure in their own right. I see what they're trying to do with the list. They're not trying to mill as much. It's more focused on ChaosGallantmon replaying stuff. And, you know, it's not a bad trade-off. You know, you have Megidramon. You know, if this Digimon has 2 or more colors, gain 2 memory on its on deletion. You know, same thing with Shakkoumon. So if you have this in a stack with Megidramon, ChaosGallantmon can just pop it, and then it comes back to your turn once it's the, you know, end of your turn. That's not terrible. I think this is all great support. There's so much potentials. This probably needs a lot of massive rework, but this was the only ChaosGallantmon that actually topped. Then we have Beelstar or Beelstar, whoever wants to pronounce it right. Card's really good. I think the deck definitely didn't take much of a hit with the Itmon mill, but it's a control deck at the end of the day. It wants to fill its graveyard with a bunch of 7-cost options, and then you use cards like Heaven's Judgment. As long as you have this Mimi and Joe on the board, you have some decent value there. You get like Rival's Barrage, you get Fly Bullet, you get Kakaitis Breath, Hollowing Crusher, you know, Zwart Swarmer, all these good cards that Beelstar can spit out. And then you do have access to Shinegreymon Ruin Mode that can help keep you in the game, because that was a bigger issue about Beelstar, was for the control aspect. This deck only could take 5 hits, and that was done. So now that changes up a little bit, and now you have a little more chance of survival. But who knows what we'll see in the future. And then finally, Setcon. Definitely got some new support with the new Black Seraphmon. So, as we talked earlier in the video, opponent's turn, when a card is removed from your security stack, you digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, and then on deletion recovery 1, then one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 4,000 DP for each card in your security stack. Just because you can digivolve for 1 on top of your Seraphmon is not a bad trade-off. And then they use the Omnimon stuff, because if anybody hits Thwart Defeat in security, they can go right into Omnimon Alter B, which is not terrible, or go into Merciful mode. Just very powerful level 7s on top of your level 7s, which isn't terrible. I mean, even bridging the gap with, you know, Black Seraphmon can lead to being scary with Omnimon Alter B with Omnimon Thwart Defeat. Who knows what the end result will be, but with Alter B being able to trash 2 of your opponent's security stack, if you have 3 cards were trash, 3 level 6 or higher Digimon, which is very easy to achieve with this deck, because, you know, Seraphmon goes into Black Seraphmon and then go into Omnimon Thwart Defeat. Not a bad trade-off. I think that's pretty solid. And the deck has what Setcon's going to always do. Be it annoying, threats are in security all the time, kind of game style. So guys, what do you think of all the new decks? Let me know what deck you're going to test out first. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace!